it was such a shock, and I mean we did a festival the very next day, and we just can't get our arms around it. I mean it's something that I just kept thinking about it and kept thinking about it, like, well, they're not going to be here. We're not going to see them at this one. We're not going to see them at another one. And they always they had a way of, I don't know, we've all been doing these. I've known them for almost 10 years, and for the whole time I've been, involved in the community, which is about that long, and we just see them there. And so now I don't know, we're just not going to. The name of the beer is called Yujo, and that in Japanese means friendship or fellowship. And it's the style of beer is a California common beer, or called a steam beer. The style was sort of popularized by Anchor Steam, and this was kind of the next beer that was in our lineup, something that we wanted to brew. And I usually don't name the beers if it's a new beer until it kind of sort of comes to being, and it sort of speaks to me in a way. And so with Steve and Mina's passing, I wanted to kind of come up with something that had to do with, steaming, and just to honor, their brewery was founded on the fact that Mina was of Japanese, and Steve, he was a chief master sergeant in the Air Force, and their beers often spanned, had both the East and the West sort of elements in them, and just sort of the blending of that was really beautiful. And so after a while of just sort of thinking about it and just thinking about them and just trying to grasp it, I thought, then I looked up what the Japanese word was for friendship, and then found that, as with many things in their language, it's much deeper than in English, and it's friendship and fellowship, and that just really spoke to me and really represented everything, their part in the Peninsula brewing community, just how they had helped other breweries brew at times. They've been trying to open their little tap room in their rural space for a few years, and they helped another brewery, stored equipment for them and brokered a little deal so they could get started. We'd see them at all kinds of festivals, and Mina was just a masterful brewer of the style, certainly of fruit beers, and they were so elegant and delicate, not cloying, but she also just had a really wonderful Shogun IPA, and they just could brew the range of styles, and they were just wonderful partners together. When my husband Eric passed away in 2015, Valhall Brewing had brewed a beer that they named after him, and so that just really felt really great to me to know that people were drinking this type of beer, this beer that had his name on it. And they had subsequently, after we opened our brewery, they gave me the recipe, and we brew it every year and release it on Eric's birthday in December. And it's just a way to make something just awful, just kind of turn it into something a little bit timeless, but nothing's really timeless, but it's just a way to just share the love across in the way that, the beer people know how. They were just so generous and so just fun and kind. They didn't have a bad thing to say about anybody. They also would just give of their time, and they would show up at, everybody's events. And like I had mentioned, they would help uplift others and help everybody else start. And that's, the rising tide lifts all boats in the Peninsula brewing community. And when we started, Rainy Days helped us out with a lot. We've all just done a little, wherever we can, we try and help each other out. And everybody kind of does a little bit different styles. And they were just so much fun, and they meant so much to just the community of Olalla, in Fox Island and Gig Harbor, and where they were at in Olalla. They were in a rural spot, but they also can touch both Kitsap County and sort of the more city areas, but then also all the fun little places out in Gig Harbor in the area. So everybody's kind of had their own little thoughts about them too, down to Belfair, and they were just great people about always going to patronize everybody's little little watering holes in tap rooms and stuff. They were really proud of their product. As with any tap room, the bartenders, the beer tenders, people come to a tap room because they want to learn a little bit more about the beer. And so we all try to, I make sure my staff, and whenever I'm behind the bar, to tell the story and to really be educated. And one of the things that's always been surprising to me is, people, once they learn even more about a beer, then they'll want it even more. Even if it's whether it's a funny name or whether they're like, oh, I'll have that because it's a boondoggle, and you're like, well, do you want to taste it? No, I love it, And so this one and the Eric beer, whenever we put that one on, they're like, nope, that's what we're drinking. And so they feel people love a connection to what they consume. Generally, I've found.
For more local news coverage, live and on demand, watch King 5 Plus. Download free on Roku and Fire TV.